Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Today, I thought we would make a card using day one from the 12 Days of Stitchmas from Spellbinders. And I just love this kit. I have gotten this the last couple years along with the add-on set. They do not have an add-on this year, so we will be using floss and thread from our previous kits. But this year's kit does not disappoint. So before I open the box, I do want to let you know that I mutilate my box. I completely take it apart, and I'm telling you this because I want to show you how I store everything. So what I do is I open it up and I take all the doors off of each day. So theoretically, you would open day one and you would work on that die, those dies. And then we've got day two, day three, etc. But I take everything apart and then I put each day in its own individual little baggie, and I make sure to mark how many pieces are in that bag for that day. And then I just store everything in a larger bag along with all my doors that I cut off of the box. And that way everything is together. I still have the picture of what it's supposed to be, and it's all organized. So that's for this year's kit. And just an example, this is last year's kit. I have everything all nice and neat in one bag, so everything is all in the same place. So today we are going to make an ornament, and this is so cute. I wanted to try to do something a little more elegant, so I didn't know if we should use glitter cardstock, or I've got a metallic that I also cut out. And this is a 9-piece die set. I did tape the two for the ornament together. We've got a banner, we've got the little hook for our ornament, the string, and then the decorative pieces. So let's go ahead and start stitching. And because I did purchase the add-on kit in previous years, I just keep all my floss and thread in a bag. That way it's all together. Today we are going to be using the gold thread, and I just want to make sure that I cut a piece that is long enough to finish this larger decorative piece. And we're only using one strand. I did do a sample in another color, and I found with the metallic thread that it just was too bulky. So we're just going to pull this through and then add a little piece of tape. I've got my best ever craft tape, and this is the 1/4 inch, and I cut a whole bunch of little pieces off, and I'm just going to put a little piece of tape right there just to hold that in place. I do kind of take my fingernail and just burnish that down so it sticks really well. And this is so easy to stitch. We are just going to come in here and just follow those embossed lines that are on the piece. Just pull that back through, and I just kind of hold it with my fingers to keep it a little taut. I don't want this to be too loose, so I just grab that. You kind of get a little system down. You know which fingers need to do what when you get to a certain point. And we're just doing basic stitching here. I hope everybody is doing fabulous. I know we're doing another Christmas card, but the Stitchmas kit is available now. And if we're going to make cards, we need to get started and have them ready in time to send out for Christmas. I don't do a lot of stitching. I'm not sure how many cards we'll make out of this kit, but we will make this one for sure. And if you feel like your thread is getting a little twisted, you can just drop that and let it untwist. So we are coming up on our last hole here. I'm going to put that through there, and then I will flip this over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thread and just run it underneath the back. That's how I do my cross stitching also, just so you don't have a knot in there. You don't want anything that's going to make this any bulkier than it needs to be. Then I'll add another piece of tape, and I will also add another little piece of tape right here where that thread comes out, just because I want to make sure that it stays nice and taut and doesn't get loose on me. And then I can trim that off. And that is so pretty. I just love that gold thread on there. So I will go ahead and do my other two little decorative pieces. And those took no time at all. So we've got our 3 pieces here. And I did do one in glitter cardstock and one in a metallic for the main portion of my ornament, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to use. I had a little bit of an idea what we were doing today, but not in concrete. I didn't do a sample. So let's just kind of take a look at other pieces we've got. So for my background, I'm bringing in my old favorite, which is the script text press plate. And I knew I wanted some type of a background, but I wasn't sure how bright I wanted it. I foiled this one in white foil, and this one I foiled in the opal foil. And I really think I'm liking that a little more. I've also got a layering piece here that I cut from the Perfect Touch Arches and Tags. And I did bring these items in because we want to use them more than once. We purchased them and we really need to use them more than once. So let's see how this might look. Do we want to use the opal foiled background, or do we want to use the white foiled? And then we've also got the option of the glitter. I think we will use the opal and the glitter versus the metallic, just because the glitter, you know, you have to have glitter for Christmas. So we've got our pieces, and I also did a couple bows. We're not there yet. Let's go ahead and assemble this. So I am going to take my background, add it to a top folding card base. I will get foam tape behind my layering piece, behind my little stitched pieces, and behind my ornament. And for my panel here, I am just going to adhere that directly to my card base with some liquid glue, but everything else will have foam tape. So before I put foam tape on the back of my ornament, I want to cover up those holes with some red cardstock. So I'm just going to take a couple pieces here and attach those with some liquid glue. And I'm doing it this way. I could cut out a whole piece, a whole ornament piece out of red and layer that in there, but I don't want that red layer to show. So I found this is the easiest way to just cover up those little areas there. And then I will take another ornament with just the outline, and I will add that to the back of my ornament just for a little stability. Now we can add our stitched pieces to our ornament. And when we put our foam tape on there, we just want to be cautious that we don't cover up the stitching holes. And I just used the thin foam squares behind my stitched pieces here. I didn't want too much bulk. Let's add our string portion to the top of our ornament. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to center that on my grid lines. I want to make sure that is straight. Then when I bring in the topper here, I will also make sure that is straight on my grid line, so I know that my string is straight. And because we are gluing directly to that glitter cardstock, it will take a moment to set up. I think that glue should be set up enough to work on this. So for my sentiment, I brought in the sentiment Deck the Halls, and I got that from last year's add-on kit, and I figured, you know what, we have it, we might as well use it. So just go through your stash and use what you have. And that's also what I did here. I knew I wanted to make a little bit more of an elegant card, and I wanted to put a bow on my ornament, but I wasn't sure which one I wanted to use. I think this one is going to be a little bit too big. That came from the Gorgeous You perfume bottle. Then I've got the smaller one here that I really think we'll end up using, which came from Christmas Cocktails. Or we've got this one as another option, and I pulled that from last year's 12 Days of Stitchmas, and that came from day 11. So let's kind of take a look here. I know I will have my sentiment towards the bottom, and I want that ornament probably right about there. And I think that bow is just a little too big. So we'll put that off to the side. And then we've got this other one. Maybe we can use both. What if we put one underneath? And then, no, I don't think I like that. What if we use the other? The big one. And then the smaller one. Well, that looks awful fancy, but I'm afraid it's too big. I think that might be just a little bit too big for our card, but you know what? It really adds something. I think I kind of like that. Okay, so let's do that. So we will place our ornament. Let's do our sentiment first. And I decided to go with the white heat embossed sentiment on the black cardstock just because I wanted to break up some of that red. We have a lot of red and a lot of gold with our bows and our stitching, and I just wanted to kind of break it up a little bit. Let's add our ornament, and I'm just going to center that on my layering piece, and then we can take and trim off the top of that string. I think we should probably add just a little dab of glue right underneath that. We'll let that set up for a minute, and then we can add our bows. I think for my larger bow here, I am just going to put a little bit of glue right there on that back portion, and then also a little bit right there. Then we can add that. Then we'll bring in our smaller bow, and I think we need a little bit of foam tape just behind these two pieces. We can add some glue and then get that placed. And we're going to let that set for a minute because that's on metallic cardstock, on foil cardstock. Now we can add the entire piece to our card base, and we've got foam tape on the back of there. And then for our little banner, should we use that? I really think we should. So let's get some foam tape behind our banner here. And I want a little bit of foam tape on the left-hand side and then a little bit on the right-hand side. And that card is done using day 1 of the Spellbinders Stitchmas kit for this year. I added some Pink Fresh Studio clear drops in iridescent to the center of my stitching pieces. And then I scattered some gold pearls, and I just love that. The bow, I'm still not real sure about. What do you think? It might still be a little over the top, but I think it looks really pretty. I was trying to go for something a little more elegant because I did do a couple in blue, and these are not quite so fancy, but I love them. I love those stitching pieces. They came out so pretty. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Everything I used will be listed and linked in the description. Please leave me a comment. Please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.